Hey, Spo. You said during the exit interviews the last time we spoke to you guys about sort of the injuries and how the past couple seasons it's one of the starters and injuries and stuff like that. Is there anything maybe this off season or during this preseason that you're looking to change to kind of get more health in there, or is it just gonna be business as usual?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to belabor that, but as you can imagine, the Miami Heat, we spent a great deal of time analyzing it, reviewing it, putting things in different buckets. Things you can't control, things you can control. We focused on all the protocols and everything we can do better from the things we can control, and we think it will be better this year. And sometimes you just have to breathe that into existence too, and that's our mindset going into the season.
Erik, how much is Terry? He talked a couple of weeks ago and said he was on the brink of starting 5-on-5. How much has he been able to do in the last couple of weeks, and is he full go for tomorrow?
Yeah, he's ready to go, and the thing about that is he's been putting in a ton of work all summer. So we've all seen it. He's been in our building. This is probably the most work that he's put in a long time, if not the most for any offseason of his career. I'm really excited about the possibilities for Terry. For whatever reason, he's a forgotten guy out there. I think that's where he feels comfortable. We feel fortunate that he's with us. He's healthy. He's ready to go for camp. And I've seen him. I've seen him put in the work. So I see the type of talent that he is and how he can impact winning. I'm looking forward to getting him into the mix.
Erik, well, I'm sure there's a confidence that you have enough. The East has gotten tougher this year. Paul George in Philadelphia, the Knicks with Mikal Bridges and the Karl Anthony Towns trade. When you look at the East this year, do you see a tougher challenge ahead? And when you look at your roster, do you see a roster on the same level or competitive with those remade teams?
Yes. You sound scared. Look, you have to be about it, and our guys are about it. They've done everything that I've asked them to do this offseason. From our season-ending meeting, where it was raw, how we were ousted by Boston. It left a feeling in every single one of us in the locker room. Anybody that's new, which we're excited about the new players and talent, particularly young talent that we've added to the locker room. You've inherited all of those feelings. So we had very specific intentions of what our offseason would look like. And ultimately, you have to be about that competition. Everything can look however you want it to look on paper. Boston can say whatever they want to say. They've earned it. They beat all of us, and they were crowned. So they can feel however they want to feel going into this season. With that said, still have to earn it. It's a new season, new year. There will be a bunch of teams that are gunning for that title. Our guys like that world where you have to earn it. You have to take what you want out of this league. And you can't be afraid of the competition. You can't be afraid of proving it between those four lines. And that's the type of competitors we have in our locker room.
So as far as the other guys who are dealing with injuries this offseason, Jay Rich and Nico and Drew, are any of them limited to start camp?
Everybody will be ready to go. We'll be smart about the reps, for each player. Jay Rich still has some more things to do to get to full contact, but he'll be a participant in camp. Everybody else will be a full participant in camp, and then it'll be up to us, them, and the training staff determine, how we need to manage all that. But in terms of mindset and where our health is, we're in a very good place. And the work, again, and the intention that everybody had this summer, I feel good about that going into, training camp. Now we have to put this thing together, and that's part of my job and the leaders, the veterans, to get this thing together and start to chip away at the competition. But that's what we're looking forward to. If you've had this many months off, what you're itching for is the competition. We've done the conditioning. Everybody's gotten the conditioning test. We've done the skill work. We've done the drilling. We've done all that. Now you want to line up against somebody, toe-to-toe, and see what's what.
We saw in the media guide that Quinny has a new title. Just what went into the thinking on giving him the bump, and was that done over the offseason? Was that done last season? Like, how did that come together?
Yeah, it was really a formality. He's been the associate head coach for now 4 years, really. So it's just a formality of giving him the official title. But he's more than an associate head coach. He's stepped in to be the head coach when I've missed games. I think he's worthy of being a head coach right now in this league. Sometimes it's just a matter of opportunity, and he's been close on some of these jobs. He will get that opportunity, but in the meantime, he's a big-time value add to this organization. He understands what our culture is about. He understands how to relate to the guys in our locker room. He knows how to relate to me, and he does a great job of communicating things in a slightly different way. But he's a great teacher, great communicator, and a Miami Heat guy. So it was fun to do that last little title change.
Erik, last press conference of the season last year, you talked about your relationship with Jimmy and how it has grown and could grow going forward. Even spoke about it in relation to Dwayne. What conversations have you had with Jimmy about this season, what your expectations for him are, and where you expect him to be at as camp starts?
Yeah, he's in a good place coming into camp, and he's prepared himself, for this camp. First few weeks, it was just a matter of getting his body right, from the injury, and then he was able to spend a great deal of time working and preparing. That's what happens when you have a lot of time off. And we were in contact, and what I said in that last meeting, that's the beautiful opportunity that we have in our working relationship now, going into our 6th year. Yeah, that's when you have that opportunity to break through in a relationship where you can collaborate and move things in the locker room in a much more efficient way, and we'll get to work on that. This is something that, from my experience, when you get to that many years together, there's a lot of unspoken understanding. And he's at a point now where he needs me to really coach this team at a high level. He needs me to coach him at a high level and push him to higher levels. And I need him to be at his highest level as a player and a leader. And the same goes for everybody else. But obviously, the things in the locker room move, when Jimmy and I move in sync, and when Bam and I move in sync, and then when the three of us move in sync. This is not saying anything about anybody else, but we understand how things work. So much of this league is you know how things work. If you have enough guys that at the top that have been together for a long time, I think that's a beautiful opportunity, and I'm looking forward to working with him and Bam and everybody else.
Erik, first time getting your thoughts on Alec Burks, what he brings, and also on Ware, your thoughts from watching tape of Las Vegas Summer League from your Olympic perch.
Yeah, I mean, Alec was somebody that we felt really fortunate to be able to get him. A veteran player, but a guy that has proven that he can be so explosive offensively, and those kind of guys are dynamic, to find. He has positional size. He has that experience. We wanted to add some veteran experience, particularly at those wing positions. And I think we all noticed what he did, during the playoffs. But he's been a heat killer, over the years, and we tend to try to get some of those guys on our side so they can't hurt us. In terms of Kel'el, that was fun watching him. We watched probably more film on him to prepare for the draft as much as any player because it was unique having the experience at Oregon versus the experience at Indiana. So that required us to really dive deep into his makeup, and I've really enjoyed watching him work. Part of my routine over there while we were in Paris is in London and Paris, every morning I would get the summer league games sent on my laptop, and I started watching it every morning, and then the whole staff started like looking over my shoulder watching. But it was great to see his progress of just diving into Miami Heat details, all the things that we emphasize for a big, playing with motor, playing with physicality, playing with consistent intention. He got better as the summer league went on. I thought Dan Bisaccia did a great job coaching him and developing him. And you can see the talent level. He has a talent level, size, touch, a knack for rebounding that's unique. So we're excited to work with him.
Spo, you touched it a little bit on it when you talked about the question on Jimmy, but when you have a core that's been together so long as a head coach and for those players, how do you avoid, what's the balance of, hey, you guys have been together, you know each other, to where it gets a little maybe tedious or straining or stale, whatever the word you want to use, having been together so long and trying to motivate and find new ways to win?
Two things. One, we haven't done what we set out to do. That's the most important thing. How does anything get stale if you haven't accomplished what you want to accomplish? Secondly, we haven't had what we want to look at. So, the group has had no chance to even get to that point. You know, we're still looking for the innocent climb, you know, with a lot of these guys. And I'm not going to give you headlines about, you know, starting lineups or rotation or anything like that. But I am definitely intentional about seeing what Terry, Tyler, Jimmy, Bam looks like. I'm not talking about, you know, who's going to be fifth or whatever, but we need to get those guys out in the wood and see how that group can really complement each other and really lift this whole group up.
Coach, this question comes from our audience watching on our Heat YouTube live stream. What are your expectations for our young guys this season? You mentioned Kel'el, but also Pella, Jaime, Nico.
They've really had an exciting summer. Each and every one of them, I don't want to go down the list of the names. I don't want to leave anybody out. But first, if you get a young group that emerges in Summer League, that's exciting, you know, for our building. And then to have that chance now to compete for a Summer League title, for us, that matters. So you get to that last weekend, everybody's thinking about going home, and that group somehow banded together and found a way to get over the top. And there were some tough wins there, coming from behind and all that shows and displays a competitive character. We wanted to bolster our depth and bring in some young talent, and we feel that we've checked some of those boxes. I don't want any of those guys to back down to any of our vets. Obviously, we all have to come together and collaborate, but I want guys to fight for minutes. Make me have to watch you, make me have to play you. Impact winning. And I want the veterans to understand that as well. There's not going to be free tickets just handed out because of any kind of reputation or that. We have something that we have to set out to do, and we have not done it yet. And I think the competition, you know, for some of these spots can help us. And it remains to be seen. You know, our veterans are good, and they've prepared themselves for this training camp and for this season. Our young guys obviously made everybody watch, and I think the veterans were paying attention as well. Ultimately, that'll be good for our locker room.
Erik, you spent a lot of time with Bam this summer. Obviously, he also signed his extension as well. What was the growth that you saw from the experience that you guys got at the Olympics together? And also, is there anything particular that you're expecting from him with this season?
Yeah, he just has to continue to lead us. He'll grow. We'll continue to add more on his plate. You know, the summer was a really fun experience for this old veteran coach. I really treasured that opportunity to be in a team environment with him in a different role. Our relationship has really grown, over these years. It's been born out of head coach, young player trying to establish himself, head coach into a proven winning player, and then to be able to step back and be an assistant coach over there, I thought was one of my most memorable moments as in this profession. We were able to spend a lot of time in between and have different kind of discussions, a different kind of relationship. It reminded me, really, it was kind of full circle. When I was assistant coach and worked with Dwayne, it brought me back a lot of those kind of memories. We didn't have any deep support staff with USA Basketball, so when you're an assistant coach, you had to do all the player development, you had to do all the rebounding, shagging balls, all of that stuff, and so I was Bam's workout coach, and boy, that was fun. And then when we were done working out, we'd sit, in the gym and just shoot the S, and not even talk about hoops, not talk about the team, just really treasuring the experience that we were having, being part of that team. The last thing I'll say about that, he really proved him even more on that stage of what kind of winning personality, what kind of winning player he is. And I really enjoyed seeing how the players on that team viewed Bam and how they respected him as a winner. Coming off the bench, really bolstering one of our most impactful units. Everybody respected him going into it, but the coaching staff absolutely loved him, the way he impacted winning, and guys like LeBron and Steph, they just loved what he brought and how he could lift a group up. And so he'll have to do even more of that. That's part of being, a face of the franchise. It's not about all the things that probably everybody thinks it is. That everybody wants to just, again, point to that final column and a stat sheet. It's about impacting everything and having career best all across the board. Career best as a leader, career best as a captain, career best defensively where he's been the best but not acknowledged as the best. Hopefully we can get that box checked this year, and he'll continue to grow offensively because of his work ethic.
Regarding Tyler, I know it's only 5 games, but how much did that playoff series, that experience kind of shape maybe or set the tone for what Tyler wanted to accomplish and how he approached this offseason?
Tremendously. He felt what it was like. He's going to have help, big time help this year, with other guys available and healthy and also really prepared for this season. Tyler did everything that I asked of him this offseason. Everything. I love the work that he put in. He and I were in constant contact when I was overseas. He really worked on the skill work, as he always does. He's so skilled. But he worked on the specificity of what we'll need, for this team. He worked on his body in the weight room. It's not a matter of how much weight he added. He looks different for sure. He did add weight. It's more about the functional strength, and he learned that, firsthand in that series. If you have to do things on both ends of the court, guard the other team's best wing player, and then also have the offensive responsibility, to make the right plays every single time for your team, and then be able to do it for 38 minutes in a playoff setting, that requires a lot. And he did all of it this summer. The weight room work, the conditioning, the skill work. Sometimes you have to go through it and have that pain of a loss in a playoff series where it really matters to you, to be able to have the experience to break through, the next year. And I think he's set up, for those kind of breakthroughs.
Coach, you are third all-time for longest tenure as a coach with an NBA team, following Pop and Jerry Sloan. What does that continuity mean for you entering your 17th year, and how much more do you still have in the bucket energy-wise now versus when you first started?
I feel like I have more energy, now. I'm always grateful to Mickey, to Pat. Pat saw something in me that I didn't see early on. I wasn't, really ready, or I felt prepared, for this, and he just kind of, pushed me uncomfortably. So, and I'm always grateful, for that, for this opportunity to work for this franchise. I do not take it for granted, that continuity. I see it all the time, and then, in the last 2 years alone, there's been 14 different head coaching changes. That's a sobering reality in this profession. It bums me out when I hear that stat that I'm the second longest tenured behind Pop, because there are a lot of really talented coaches that if they had the same type of structure and continuity and belief in that, there could be a lot more, coaches, that have been able to do what I'm able to do here. But I feel that responsibility because of that, to be a caretaker of the culture. And Pat came here in '95. He wanted to create a culture that was respected beyond even this league, but across all the leagues, professional leagues and worldwide. That's a big responsibility. And I take that to heart. And that's why I'm very motivated every single year to get a team to compete, for that highest prize. And if other people aren't on board for that, we ain't for you.
You mentioned getting the four guys together, getting them more reps on the court. You arguably have as many or more pure shot creators on this team than you've had in a while. The offense probably hasn't been where you wanted in a couple of years. And knowing you tend to rethink things when it's not where you want it to be. How are you approaching the offense this year, and how do you see those guys kind of becoming more than just the sum of their parts on that end?
Yeah, I mean, everybody had to get to work. The coaching staff had to get to work. Even though I was over there, we were really taking the time to be intentional about working on different aspects. Defense was one thing, that we spent a lot of time on. Offense, yes, we need to improve. We need to innovate. We need to do some things subtly better. You can't revamp and start a whole new offense. That gets people out of rhythm. But there has to be some sophistication. There has to be some added new innovation to bring out the best in everybody. And everybody has to have those kind of collaborative intentions. This is a group. We have offensive talent everywhere you look. And it should be a group that brings out a higher level. If we work together, to be able to put some points on the board, and we have those kind of guys that can create shots at the end of the clock, which is hard to do in this league. So all of those layers, we'll get to work on that starting in training camp, and hopefully this is an offense that will be on all cylinders, in the second half of the season. All right, thank you.
To start with an Olympic one, if you don't mind. You saw, the whole world saw Steph do the Nite in Paris, and now you've seen Messi doing it. You're seeing golfers do it in competition. How cool is that moment? He's done it before, obviously, but that moment made something very cool, I think, graduate to iconic.
Yeah, for me, it's just realizing that it's his first one, and then do that on that stage, and it being your first one. I always make the joke that Steph was my rook in the Olympics. But for him to do that, that was pretty iconic. The resume speaks for itself and the person that he is. So it was only due time until he would have another iconic moment like that.
Hey, Bam. Spo was just up here saying that he's pretty eager to see what you, Jimmy, Tyler, and Terry can do together. How are you to kind of get that group on the court together, and what's your vision for what that group, that four-man group, can be?
To be healthy. But for all us to be healthy and win, ultimately, that's the biggest goal for all of us, and we all had that in mind. So for us, going through the ups and downs that we've been through a lot of these seasons, and Terry getting here last year, going through what he went through, we just all at this point just want to be healthy and win ball games.
Hey, Bam. Obviously, you're heading into your second year as captain now, and you mentioned just with the reaction, you mentioned how it could be a little hard, obviously, in that first season. Has your perspective changed on being captain, and what's sort of the ideal there?
No, it hasn't. It doesn't get any easier. You got new guys coming in, and you have to explain to them what we're about, how we move, and just really, it's not about yourself. Every year I come back, and more you start to realize that you're doing this for something bigger than yourself. Like I said, I didn't choose to be captain. It was kind of, UD forced me into this role. But you understand that when you get in that role and you sit in that hot seat, it's not about you at the end of the day.
Bam, I'm going to ask about the defense last year. I did, yeah. You guys are top 5 last year, so it's probably around where you wanted to be. I know your expectations of yourself and what they are every year, but you could argue that there's a lot of young guys somewhat unproven on defense this year that you're going to be relying on. Where are you expecting, and where do you need growth up and down the roster on the defensive end?
Growth, I would just say, making it a team, making it about the team. That's the biggest thing about defense. It's not about sole individual accolades. Team defense wins basketball games. That's all together. Whatever position, whatever spot you're on the court, as long as the team defense wins, we all win.
Bam, there's been so much upgrade around the rest of the Eastern Conference. It's hard to ignore, between what the Knicks did with Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, with what Philadelphia did with Paul George, even Orlando with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You guys always speak about we have enough. But do you recognize the heightened challenge, and your thoughts on where the East is now compared to where it was in recent years?
I feel like the East is sneaking up on people more than they think. For me, we keep the main thing. The basketball game has to be played. All the lineups and everything, it looks good on paper, but at the end of the day, we still got to go out there and play ball.
Bam, this question comes from our audience watching live on our Heat YouTube live stream. They want to know, how does the addition of Kel'el Ware impact your role on the team?
I guess I got somebody out there that's 7 feet. But nah, he'll be a great addition to our team. Not only me, but I've seen the kid grow from the time he got drafted till now. So it's a good sign that he's growing already, and hopefully he'll be able to get playing time, because my rookie year, Spo did not play me. So hopefully he'll get playing time and earn that in training camp.
And there's been buzz around your shooting, obviously late last season. We've seen it over the summer. And Spo was just kind of talking about just minor tweaks for the offense this season and stuff like that. Do you see your shooting maybe changing up of what the looks can be offensively? Like what could shift, I guess, of way teams defend you guys if you're able to space in different spots consistently?
Space in the floor, obviously it makes life easier for Jimmy, Terry, Tyler to get to the basket, and then also myself. So just open up the floor and just making it easier for driving kicks.
MGM Remix Sports Media, Bam. You and Spo had a great role impacted on this Team USA Gold Medal run. How has that experience made you two closer, and how has it made you a better leader and player for this team this season?
I'd say it made us closer. I'm going into year 8 at this point. It's crazy. And this is, I feel like, legitimately like our first time that wasn't in a Heat uniform we've won something together. So having that moment is always special. We'll always be able to remember that moment of going through the summer of giving our time to our country and being able to come out with a gold medal.
Bam, you kind of touched on it earlier about the East and all the things that are said. At this point in your career, with what you've accomplished, what you want to accomplish, what is your main motivation as you end every year? Like, what do you mentally say, okay, this is my motivation as a player and for the team to prep for a new season?
Main thing, motivation, man. I mean, I like winning. As simple as that is, like winning should motivate you. Winning feels great. Like being able to be, top dog at something, no matter if it's checkers, dominoes, NBA. Y'all know who that is. But being able to, long story short, just win.
Hi, Bam. You recently got the key to the city. What was your favorite moment from that honor?
Hold up. Or just being able to get the key, being able to be recognized as a great person in this community, and everything that I've done this far. So being able to get recognized for the key is a great moment for me.
Anyone else? Good. Thank you.
Bet.
Tyler, I know last season didn't end the way you guys wanted it as a team, but for you, it was a big deal to be in the playoffs after missing the run before. So I'm curious as to what did you personally take out of that Boston series and how they chose to defend you as well?
First of all, hello everybody. It's dope. No, it took a lot away from last year overall, and then obviously last playoff. They kind of being, I don't want to say the number one option, but kind of being that first scoring option in that series. I definitely was guarded like that. From Drew to Derek White, Jaylen Brown, just rotating different guys on me, seeing multiple bodies at once. Being very physical with me off the ball, kind of not letting me get comfortable and letting me getting comfortable at all and getting into my game. But I took a lot away from that scenario right there, to be able to play with a guy leaning on me, a guy having their body on me the entire time, and not taking a body off me on that offensive end is something I worked on all summer, just trying to create different space without having the ball in my hands. So I'm excited to be back and kind of get after it.
Hey, Tyler. You alluded to it just recently, but Spo was talking about how you had a really good summer in preparation. Was there anything different you did this summer compared to previous, or is it just sort of business as usual?
Just business as usual, trying to continue to get better every single year. Getting stronger, continuing to keep my mind right, get my mind right, and prepare for this long season. And obviously trying to stay healthy is a big thing for me this season. Being healthy is my biggest thing, really.
Spo was up here saying that you added some weight. You just alluded to it there, but what work did you put in to kind of add to your physicality and maybe to help you stay healthy through the season?
I was eating a lot of food this summer. Honestly, I was just eating everything. That was my goal, was to kind of just. I ended the season 189. I weighed in at 201 this morning, so I gained like 12 pounds, and this is the heaviest I've came into camp in my career. So trying to keep the weight on and being able to stay healthy, I think that will help. Being more durable, having a little bigger frame throughout the 82 game season. And then just taking care of my body recovery-wise, and truly being a professional in that side of the sport. I put the work in on the court, and in the weight room. It's kind of all about just staying healthy and putting that recovery work in as well.
Tyler Spo just said that he wasn't going to talk starters, and then he listed you, Terry, Bam, and Jimmy, which we took to indicate he's already got 4 of them kind of penciled in. Mm-hmm. I know you get asked it every year, and people talk about your role every year. Why does starting matter? And do you honestly care one way or another, as long as the minutes and the role and the being part of the closing unit and all that stuff is there?
Honestly, I'm going to just leave it to Spo and Pat. Whatever they say I am, that's what I am. Y'all can say I'm a starter, I'm off the bench. We're going to let the best coach in the league decide. We're going to let one of the best GMs or presidents ever to do this decide. If I'm starting or coming off the bench, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to win a championship.
With that said, Tyler, Spo was talking about kind of the dynamic of you and Terry. We obviously didn't get to see it for a long period of time. I guess, what are you kind of looking at to kind of for this season with that pairing? How do you think can make it work for long periods offensively?
I think it can work, tremendously in a good way. We're both, I would say, a little bit smaller guards, but we're fast. We can both shoot the ball. We can play make. Our games are similar in that way on the offensive end. I think the biggest thing is just trying to come up with, different collaborating ways of how we can share the ball with each other. And a big part, too, is I think I'll play off the ball a little bit more this year than I have in the past. I've worked on that, all summer. I still can handle the ball and get into pick and rolls, but, really being effective off the ball in that starting 5 lineup, if that is the lineup. And I think I'm ready for it.
Tyler, there's obviously a lot of positives that come out of picking up weight and everything, but couple of the drawbacks from people in the past. Maybe it's a little more stress on the joints, and maybe it's a little bit more difficult with movement and everything. Just curious what you've sort of learned over the years and how to adjust to that. And obviously, as somebody who's trying to stay healthy this year, is that one more thing you have to sort of think about?
Yeah, for sure. As I was adding weight, kind of just being able to stay with my different movements that I work on, making sure my body is still being able to move at the speed I wanted to, even though I did gain a couple pounds, which I think it is. I've gained weight in the past, and I've kind of lost it throughout the season, obviously with a lot more conditioning in the season, and the scheduling is harder for me to stay on the diet that I was on this summer. But we've kind of put a place and plan where hopefully I can keep my weight on, and I think that'll help me throughout the season with staying healthy. And like I said, a big part of staying healthy is recovery and trying to take advantage of all the little times that I can get recovery.
Tyler, you talked a lot about the physical side of your game. As you've gotten older and the more you're in the league, how much has the mental side grown, and what have you tried to, is that balance of, trying to improve, not trying to listen to what's coming from the outside, focused on what you're trying to do, the mental side of it?
Yeah, I think mental is 90% of the game. I put in a lot of work that I can always fall back on. I think a big part of it is mental, like you said. And I think throughout, this was already year 6 for me, so I definitely have matured in my mind of, last year I was coming in like, I'm trying to score 25 a game. And like this year, I'm just here to play, have fun, be myself. Whatever I end up averaging, I end up averaging. I'm not here to push any agendas of all-star or anything like that. I'm just honestly here to have fun, win a championship with the guys we have, and just go from there.
MGM Remake Sports Media. Tyler, I see you rocking the low cut this season. Was this something that you just wanted to change the appearance, or is this the game face locked in mode?
It's a little bit of both. Definitely cut the hair down. I'm going to keep it like this throughout the whole season. So, it's all business, and it's kind of my little military cut I'm going with. So I kind of like it for now.
All right, Tyler, that's all we got for you.
Appreciate you. Hey, Ira, you ain't got a question for me?
No, I mean, we're going to get ready